This is SSL Live.
The pulse of the Sunday Showdown League with your hosts, Colin Pimpin' Ain't Breezy Elliott
And Josh Jablonski.
Welcome to the first ever edition of SSL Live. This podcast will be the place you want to be for information about the league, the comings and goings of the league, who's in, who's out, and who's to be feared for the upcoming season.
Which is, of course, my team all the time.
You can expect a monthly podcast here in the off season, with it being either bi-weekly or weekly once the season begins.
And during the off season, we're going to keep you entertained all the time. Today we're talking about the Olympics. April, we'll talk about the Masters. March, we'll talk about March Madness. Yes, I flip around my months because I can do that. June, we'll be in the College World Series, flip around my months again.
Hopefully with guest Caleb Polensky.
Yes, for sure, our baseball stud. May, we're going to highlight Colin's wedding, and that's all we'll talk about. We'll do a wedding show. And then we'll lead you into the season when our 2014 season starts. But here we need to talk about the 2013 season of the Sunday Showdown League. It was a great season.
Ups and downs for sure.
Yeah, plenty. I think our biggest down was James winning.
Yeah, nobody liked that. And, I take full responsibility for that. And I've been really hurting over it for the last month and a half or so. And I'm still feeling bad about it. So I feel like I need to apologize to the league here. I take full responsibility for James winning the championship this year. He should have never gotten past me. And I messed around with my team too much, tried to trade, and just didn't keep it together the way I needed to. And all I can do is apologize to you guys and hope that I can make it better in 2014.
Yeah, you better make it better. Because James, no disrespect, but once a waitress, always a waitress. And we expect to see you there next year.
So welcome. And now we will have the first segment of our show. We're talking about the Olympics 2014 in Sochi, Russia. As we're recording this right now on Saturday, February 15th, the United States stands second in the medal count with 14, losing to only Russia by 1, which is ironic because
we beat them in hockey today, boys. And I was real excited this morning. I began my morning how I begin most mornings, with a Snapchat from our very own Caleb Polensky. Usually I get what he's wearing today or something, but today it was that we beat... Wait a minute. I just got a Snapchat from Caleb right now.
How ironic. But anyway, back to the point. We beat Russia today in a shootout. A shootout that went to 8 rounds, which is almost unheard of. And we finally became victorious thanks to a goal by TJ Oshie, who no wonder he was on the U.S. team this year. The man has the most shootout goals of anybody in the NHL this season.
It's a miracle on ice.
Not quite like 1980, but we'll take it.
Yeah. USA, USA, USA.
In other news, the United States swept the men's slopestyle skiing podium this year, which is a great accomplishment with a great international field, and allowing Canada to not have any medals is always a plus.
And also, the future Mrs. Jablonski, Jamie Anderson, won gold in snowboarding.
Women's slopestyle.
Women's slopestyle snowboarding. And, when she won, I'm watching it, and I'm so excited for her. And then next thing I notice, she smiles at me and waves all the way from Sochi, Russia. So, Jamie, right now I smile and wave at you. God bless America.
We have a couple members of our league that have Mancuso blood. And one of the athletes in this year's Olympics is Julia Mancuso. And she already has a bronze medal in one of the skiing events. And we are expecting more from her in the coming week, as she has 2 or 3 more events to medal in. But more importantly, we're wondering if there might be a distant relationship between our league members and this Olympic athlete.
Yep.
Now, although we've had all this greatness, and there always is with America in the Olympics, there's been some disappointments this year. First and foremost...
Wait, I have to interrupt you. Disappointments, kind of like your playoff performance this year.
Well, at least I made the playoffs, and, at least I got third place, not fourth, like somebody else sitting next to me.
You know what? I just had a lot of personal issues going on.
Yeah, like losing bets to me.
Well,
you were good at that this year.
Hey, I beat you in that Browns bet, though.
That's because it's the Browns. Congratulations.
Yes!
Anyway, Shaun White, the best snowboarder in the world, didn't even medal this year. First of all, he pulls out of the slopestyle event. Are you really that much of a coward? And second of all, you go to focus on the half pipe and you don't even win a medal. Come on, bro. Second, Bodie Miller, my favorite American Olympic athlete. This man was supposed to be the favorite in the men's downhill skiing competition, and the guy comes in 6th place. You're disappointing me, bro. Third, speed skating. Why are we letting the Dutch win everything? The Dutch have won almost every single medal in the speed skating, and we can't even win one. Not even the guys that are favorited. And finally, curling. I know not many people like curling, but I've kind of watched it this year and I've gotten into it. And I've been a big fan of the American team, especially the skip, John Schuster. But he keeps disappointing me game after game. We have chances to win and they give it up in the last couple of ends of the match. You know what? They still have a few matches to make it up, but it's not looking good so far. That'll pretty much do it for our Olympic coverage. Do you have anything else to say, Josh?
You know what? I have one more thing to say. I apologize to you about the disappointing playoff performance. I should have said that Michael had a disappointing season. Our commissioner missing the playoffs. Our commissioner who supposedly had a great draft. Sorry, Michael, but we're going to lump you in with the disappointing Olympic performances.
You know what? The thing is, though, we have to say the league was pretty consistent this year. There was a lot of teams there within 2 wins of each other, which, I'm not saying really means that our league is very solid. I'm just saying there's a lot of people that kind of suck. And, there was a couple of us that went to the top this year.
The cream of the crop.
And, yes, I might not have performed in the playoffs, but it's kind of about how you work over the whole season as well. And it was obvious that myself and the Bash Brothers did that better than anybody else. Now, that being said, it is about how you finish, and I will admit I did not finish this season well. But at least I had the opportunity to have a chance to finish well, unlike Michael, the White Mambas, who for some reason Caleb had in his top 3 of power rankings 90% of this season, even though there was no reason for that to happen. But, that being said, Caleb was also at the bottom, so I don't know where that credibility
Started
lies.
from the bottom, now he's still there.
And anyway, that should wrap up our Olympic coverage. And if any of you are wondering why figure skating was not included, you probably should not be in the league.
Yep. And now we're going to head into our next segment about the Amazing Race. All right, for those of you that don't know, Josh Atwell, we have a new and exciting way of deciding our draft order this year. And I have to admit, I'm watching James's video, and at first, I wasn't a big fan, and I actually stayed up past my bedtime to watch this video. I had an early morning. I was going to go to bed at 9. I already had my story time. But, it's SSL, and SSL gets priority over everything else in my life. Now I'm watching the video. I can't even see James because he's camouflaged with his surrounding area.
Once you do see him, you realize he looks quite high.
Yes, and we have no idea where he's recording it.
Looks like possibly a bathroom.
Yeah, maybe a bathroom.
So it starts out just not good circumstances.
It's sketchy at best. But I'm thinking about it. He kind of had me on the whole attractive women part of the show, and then he kind of lost me. But then I kept thinking, and I'm like, I really like this idea. Gives me something to do on Sundays since football season's over. It's competitive. I get to get behind a team of people trying to win something. It reminded me of the episode of the league where they had a little kids race for their draft spots. And then I became a fan. So we're going to break it down for you. We're going to look at each duo from The Amazing Race. We're going to give our personal opinions on those people. and give you a prediction on who's going to win the Amazing Race and who's going to get their choice in the draft.
It's not about the choice in the draft. Did you not see the video or what happens?
I did see the video.
James gets to pick his spot.
Right.
And the rest of us get in the order of how we finish.
I'm pretty sure he said
finishing.
the top person gets to pick.
No, the top person gets first place.
Well,
I was at the commissioner's house when this happened, and I know firsthand that that's how it goes. So you are uninformed on this at the moment, and we're going to go with the fact that we will find out who will get the number 2 pick this year, as we assume James will take number 1.
Don't blame me. It's not like I could see James. I'm sorry. All right, well, we're going to break it down for you in just a second.
And we're back. And, as I look at this, there really are some clear-cut favorites this year in the Amazing Race. And unfortunately for my good friend Josh sitting next to me here, he doesn't have one of them. Now, he has Team John and Jessica, and according to him, they are motivated by love to win, which will conquer all.
I like my team. If you watch the Hunger Games, what's her name and what's his face won because they loved each other. And John and Jessica are engaged. Their goal for the Amazing Race is to just spend more time with each other. I'm all about a good, mushy love story. And that's why I'm picking John and Jessica to win the Amazing Race.
All right. Well, that's good enough for me. Second up, we have our good friend, the power ranker himself, Mr. Caleb Pawlenski, which his team is William Bopper Mitten and Mark Jackson. Now, unfortunately for Caleb, according to these bios, it looked like he might have gotten a weak team here. Both of these men are in their 40s, and they're both unemployed. And according to their experiences on the Amazing Race previously, they seem to have a lack of focus and a lack of understanding about the game. So, I'm sorry, Caleb.
Oh, let me add something. That means they'll be number 1 in Caleb's power rankings.
They will, but that also means they'll finish in the bottom 3. Next up,
Colin's team, the McCoy brothers. Now, I look at these guys, they're Cowboys. Colin's name is Pimpin' Ain't Breezy. No offense to our Cowboys, Michael and James. But, I'm not a fan of the whole Cowboy winning deal. The Dallas Cowboys joke every year. But, Colin has a different opinion.
This is a Cowboy I can stand behind. I was able to witness one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history, and it happened against the Cowboys this year. But here's the thing. I'm cheering for the Cowboys in this occasion, and because of that, I predict a victory.
Moving right along here, we're going to look at Bundy's team. He has Joey and Megan. Their jobs are YouTube hosts. Not much more we need to say there, so not a fan.
I don't have anything to add. The White Mambas, Leo and Jamal, otherwise known as the Homos. I don't even think Josh and Bryce want these guys to win, so we're all hoping that we only have to watch them on one episode this year. Anything else, Josh?
No. But I'm going to talk about Kevin's team. He has the Andersons. These two ladies here are fit, competitive, and I'm looking for them to put up a good fight. Maybe they'll be number 2, number 3 behind John and Jessica, but I like these ladies. They look like fighters.
And next up, we have our waitress, Mr. Sam. He got the Globetrotters in this draft, and that's a pretty good draw for Sam. I don't think he should end up in last place for this. I think these guys will probably finish up middle of the pack. They're ballers. They're ready for some action, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like the Globetrotters. I saw them in my young blood days, and they inspired me to be the basketball player that I am now. So, again, I like this team to go far.
Well, if that's the case, then they're probably going to get last place.
Yeah. Talking about Josh Howell's team now, and, Josh, no offense, but we already know you're not going to watch. And you don't even know who you have, probably, but the O'Learys, father-son duo, Dave, I don't know the son's name, but
Connor.
David Connor
O'Leary.
David Connor, sounds like a restaurant. But Honestly, Dave is almost 60. He's pushing it here. He may have a Charlie horse.
Not so fast.
Oh.
I did a little bit of research on these guys, and the last time that they were in the competition, they won a leg of the race while Dave was on crutches. So I don't think there's going to be much that'll slow them down. And that even though Josh may not be watching these guys, they might go deep into the competition.
All right, going into the commissioners duo, Brandon and Rachel. They have an interesting desire, for this race. I think Colin should be the one to tell us about that.
These two, according to their bios, had different last names, so we weren't really sure what their relationship status is. But reading more about them, it turns out that they're married. And their reasoning behind going in this race was because they want to have or conceive a baby at an exotic location, and that's their main goal during this race, which to me sounds like bad news for the commissioner because they're not going to be focused on winning. They're going to be focused on, well, let's just say how they're spending their rest periods.
Yeah, you know what? I can guarantee one thing. They'll be listening to some Luke Bryant during this race. That's all I have to say about them.
And next up, we have the Bash Bros, and their team is Margie and Luke out of Colorado Springs. This looks like an interesting combo here, and Luke, this team doesn't seem like they have a whole lot of gelling going on between the two of them, but Luke says they're not going to make any alliances this year, which is a problem they had the last time they were on the race, which, reminds us a lot of the Bash Brothers because they don't like to trade with anybody. They like to be their lone soldier, and I think this could be a good matchup for these guys.
And one thing about these guys, Margie said she needs to remind herself that Luke is a grown man. And I don't think that's just really healthy, for team building if you have to remind yourself that your husband's a grown man.
I don't think they're husband and wife. But he is 30 years old or close to it. So,
yeah.
Needless to say, he shouldn't be treated like a child.
Exactly. So leading into Mr. Shore's team, leading in and closing out, he has Jennifer and Caroline, our gorgeous country singers. So I know we have a few country music fans in our league that are excited about this duo. They're early favorites.
I'm a little worried about them, As I've been kind of the main research man on this duo here for this first show, I've kind of found out a little bit about each team. And this team, I found out that neither of these ladies are very good drivers, which, let's be honest, it kind of makes sense. But we're worried about them if they don't get to take taxis all the time, if they have to drive themselves on this show. So that could be something to watch for in the coming weeks. But other than that, I don't see much weakness and look for them to be a very strong team as they are my early favorites.
Well, that wraps it up here for our segment on the amazing race. Good luck to all of your teams as they race across the world and determine your draft spot. We're almost done here, but we just want to give you a little preview of what to expect in the next episode.
You should be seeing a new episode here before March Madness starts, maybe right around Selection Sunday. We will preview March Madness. At this time, we'll hopefully have a tournament set up for the league. Kevin and myself are looking to head that up. So we're looking to bring Kevin in for that, for a little bit of bracketology and a little bit of understanding on how that tournament will work.
And also, we're going to do a special interview with our champion from 2 years ago. So, sorry, James, we're not going to interview you this next time. But Kevin is going to teach us how not to trade. I think he learned some valuable lessons this past season.
And that should do it. We'll have obviously some more excitement for you. We'll talk about what's going on in the Amazing Race as we'll be 3 or 4 weeks into that by the next episode. And we'll look forward to hearing your feedback and hopefully getting more and more of you on the show as we get some more episodes going in.
Yep, and so signing off from the Mama Shore Sweet Tea Studio, this is SSL Live, the
pulse of the Sunday Showdown League.
Where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave